I'm going to read from The Terrible Tale of Philip McQuillan, and all you need to know is there was a time when if children died before they were given the baptismal blessing, they couldn't be buried in consecrated ground. And in this story, a stranger comes to town claiming to bury those children in the holiest ground on earth. When a woman birthed a dead child, she would send her husband to fetch Philip McQuillan. After the sun had set, Philip McQuillan would arrive at the grieving household with a horse and cart. He would slide, all respectful, into the house, look at the dead child and say, "There is no sight that makes me sadder. I would be happy to take this child's body to the holiest ground on earth and save its soul this very night." Of course, a small contribution would greatly help the easing of this poor soul into heaven. And then he would remove his hat and bow his bony body right down. He would place his hat in front of his feet, and the husband would fill the hat with coins. Philip McQuillan would not pull himself upright until the hat was completely full. If Philip McQuillan did not pull himself upright when the husband had finished putting coins into the hat, the husband would say, "But these are all the coins we have." Then Philip McQuillan would pull himself upright and hold his hands up and say, "Oh, I do understand, but I'm afraid I will not be able to take your child to the holiest ground on earth and save its soul. However, I would be happy to take the child to the Colleen tonight and lay it down with the mouldering, murderous scum and drowned drunken sailors. It's the least I can do." And then the woman would cry, "Oh God, have mercy on my child's soul!" And then Philip McQuillan would move his eyes all about the room until he found something he liked the look of and say, "I always admired those candlesticks. A table like that would sit well in my parlour. That picture deserves a finer setting." In bigger houses, he would say, "I've always liked the look of your horses," or "I could do something with that big field of yours," or "No finer mirror have I ever seen." And only when the husband gave him all the things he liked would Philip McQuillan agree to take the child. Then the husband would sometimes ask, "Will we see you in chapel on Sunday?" "Of course not," Philip McQuillan would answer, as if he'd been asked the most ridiculous question in the world. And then he would hold his bony hands together and look up to the sky and soften his voice and say, "God has told me that on Sundays I must tend the graves of all the children who have been buried in the holiest ground on earth." And then Philip McQuillan would take the child, wrap it in silk and leave, his hat full of coins and his cart often so full that his horse could barely pull it. When a woman asked if she could visit the grave of her child, Philip McQuillan would draw in a mighty fast breath and cup his bony hands around his bony face. Then he would shake his head furious fast and say, "My dear woman, God has shown me the holiest ground on earth, a place that is so close to heaven that you can hear the saints talking. God told me to keep this place a secret. He said that if everyone knew where the holiest ground was, then all sorts of riffraff would try to squeeze their way into heaven, and then he would have to unholy it. And if he unholied the ground, then everyone who'd been buried there would have their souls sucked right out of heaven and straight down into hell. So, if you go to your child's grave, then you will surely send its soul to the devil himself." And then the woman would sink to the floor and cross herself and weep, "Oh, do forgive me, Philip McQuillan, what a stupid thing for me to ask." And then Philip McQuillan would sweeten his voice into a honey of sort and put his bony hands to his heart and say, "Have no fear, sweet woman. When I bury the body of your child, it will be wrapped in the finest silk, and the ground will be pleasingly herbed, and there will be an ivory grave cross carved by St. Peter's own hands. The hand of God himself will appear. His hand will take the soul of your child, and the angels will sing a lullaby to it, and 1,000 flowers will spring up around the grave, even in winter. And then the soul of your child will play with the souls of the other children who have been saved, and God himself will gentle the soul of your child cosy it, and it will be at peace. And then the woman would turn to her husband and say, isn't it wonderful, husband? May Phelim M'Quillan be sainted 1,000 times over, for there is no godlier man on earth. But I am sorry to tell you that Phelim M'Quillan was no godly man, and that God had not called him to do this work. In fact, Phelim M'Quillan was not doing this work at all.